I genuinely think solo queue in Mobile Legends should be listed as a stress test. Forget IQ tests. Forget personality tests. If you can survive 10 solo queue games in a row without uninstalling the game, congratulations. Your mental strength is stronger than most people on Earth. And today, I want to talk about why. Now before anyone says, skill issue, hear me out. I'm not saying I'm some pro player who never makes mistakes. I've missed retribution. I've overextended for a kill. I've flickered into a wall. Trust me, I've had my fair share of embarrassing moments when I lose because I played badly. I can accept that. Those games actually help me improve. But there are also games where you finish the match, stare at the defeat screen, and genuinely ask yourself, what was I supposed to do? I've been playing Mobile Legends for years, and almost all of my ranked games have been solo queue. No duo. No trio. No 5-man squad. Just me. And 4 complete strangers who are somehow supposed to become the perfect team in the next 15 minutes. Sometimes it works. You get teammates who rotate, communicate with pings, contest objectives, and actually play like a team. Even if you lose, it still feels like a good game. You leave thinking, yeah, they were just better. I have no problem with that. But then, there are the other games. You enter the draft thinking it's going to be a normal match. Someone asks, can I jungle? Another player immediately locks a jungler anyway. Now they're arguing before the game has even started. Fantastic. The loading screen isn't even over, and our biggest enemy is already on our own team. Then comes my favorite sentence in Mobile Legends. Trust me. Every single time someone says trust me, I immediately stop trusting them. It's like hearing someone say, don't worry. Now I'm worried. They lock a hero with barely any matches. Their win rate looks like it survived a natural disaster. But apparently, today's the day they're going to carry. The game starts. For the first minute, everything actually looks peaceful. Nobody's feeding. Nobody's typing. You're thinking, maybe today's different. Then, first blood. Okay. No big deal. It happens. 30 seconds later. Second death. Then third. Then someone types, GG. Bro. We're 2 minutes into the game. I haven't even finished my first item. How are we already giving up? And somehow, the surrender button starts glowing like it's begging to be pressed. Here's what makes solo queue so funny. Every player thinks they're the smartest person in the lobby. The 0 to 4 EXP laner is explaining macro. The mage who ignored every turtle is blaming the jungler. The marksman who's been farming the entire game suddenly types, no team. No team? Brother, where have you been? Sometimes I honestly feel like everyone is playing a different game. Our tank is starting fights. Our marksman is clearing jungle. Our mage is pushing the wrong lane. Our jungler is chasing one low health enemy across half the map. And I'm just standing there looking at the mini-map thinking, are we all seeing the same thing? People always say communication wins games. In solo queue, communication usually means someone spam pinging your ultimate after they've already died. Thanks. That would have been really useful. About 5 seconds ago. And somehow, the enemy team always looks like they've known each other for years. They rotate together. They contest turtle together. They protect each other. Meanwhile, my team can't even agree on whether Lord is important. And that's the moment the match stops feeling competitive and starts feeling like survival. But trust me, that isn't even the worst part. Because the worst part happens after the game ends. You know what's weird? Solo queue has actually changed the way I think before every match. Back then, I'd press the ranked button thinking, alright, Let's see how good the enemy is. Now, I press it thinking, please, just let my team be normal. Not amazing. Not pro players. Just normal. People who actually want to win. Because if you've played solo queue long enough, you stop being afraid of the enemy team. You start being afraid of what happens in your own draft. Someone doesn't get the role they wanted? Now they're threatening to troll. Someone gets ganked once? They're already blaming the jungler. Someone dies before the first turtle? Suddenly the chat becomes more active than the actual game. And the funny thing is, the enemy doesn't even have to outplay us. Sometimes we just beat ourselves. I've had games where we were up by 5,000 gold, and somehow still lost. Not because the enemy suddenly became gods, but because we stopped playing together. One person wanted Lord. Another wanted to push. Someone else was chasing kills. 5 players, 5 different plans. And somehow we expected that to work. Then there are those games that make absolutely no sense. You start 0 to 3. You think, well, this one's over. But nobody gives up. Everyone keeps playing. You steal Lord. Win one big team fight. And somehow, you actually win. Those games taught me something. A match isn't over until it's over. Which is exactly why it annoys me when people surrender after one bad fight. We've all seen crazy comebacks. So why quit before giving your team a chance? I think that's the biggest difference between a good teammate and a bad one. It's not mechanics. It's attitude. A good teammate can have a bad game and still help the team. A bad teammate dies once, and suddenly they're mentally offline. They're still moving around the map, but they're not really playing anymore.
Stay loyal.
And honestly, that's harder to deal with than someone who's simply having a bad game. Because everyone has bad games. Nobody plays perfectly. But effort? That's something every player can control. That's all I really ask for. If we lose after everyone gave their best, GG. I'll queue again. No problem. But losing because people stop trying halfway through the match? That's the kind of game that sticks with you. Maybe that's why solo queue is so addictive. Every time you lose one of those matches, you tell yourself, the next game has to be better. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's even worse. But somehow, you keep pressing that ranked button anyway. Not because you're guaranteed to win, but because you're chasing that one match. The one where 5 strangers actually come together, play as a team, and remind you why you fell in love with Mobile Legends in the first place. And honestly, those games make all the frustrating ones worth sitting through. After everything I just said, you'd probably expect me to uninstall the game. Honestly, I've thought about it. More than once. But somehow, I always come back.
Understood.
Because underneath all the frustrating teammates, the losing streaks, and the games that make absolutely no sense, Mobile Legends is still a really fun game.
Understood.
That's why solo queue hurts so much. Not because I hate the game, but because I know how good it can be. Those matches where everyone adjusts. Nobody flames. Everyone fights for every turtle and every lord. Those are the games that remind me why I started playing in the first place. I don't expect to win every match. I don't think the game owes me free stars. If the enemy team is simply better, GG. I'll take the loss and move on. But I just wish more games were decided by which team played better, not by which team gave up first. At the end of the day, solo queue isn't impossible. It's just unpredictable. Some days you'll meet the best teammates you've ever had. Other days, you'll question whether your team and you downloaded the same game. But I guess that's solo queue. It's frustrating. It's chaotic. Sometimes it's absolutely hilarious. And somehow, we still hit that ranked button again. So let me ask you something. What's the craziest solo queue experience you've ever had?